Hello, I hope that you are doing well. So this week I'm gonna have a bit of a different approach, and I am gonna separate videos depending on the topic of what I did this week. And in this video I am gonna focus on how to paint a skin, especially looking at its translucent characteristic. So the first thing that I want to highlight is that I've heard this thing about skin being translucent. I saw it in the course that I am doing, that I have told you about, but I never considered how a translucent object really looks like. So I'm gonna show you here an example, and I can tell you that I would have no clue how to render this. All I can see is that it is quite glossy, and then the dark, it gets, the shadows itself, it gets very saturated. And in some areas like the belly, the shadow goes too dark, but in other areas like the neck, it doesn't really get dark, it just gets very, very saturated and a flashy color. So anyway, we are gonna try to bring this characteristic a little bit to the skin. How to do that? The first thing I did was I did a color study. Let me just delete this. I did a color study about two plant pots that I have in my window. The sun was hitting through them, so that's why it was looking really translucent. I imagined the way that the skin would look like. So that's why I painted them. Basically, it took me quite a long time, and most of the time I had no idea why I was painting what I was painting. So then I had to spend some time thinking about it. Like, for example, I guess that this is the most saturated part because from the other side of the pot, this is looking upwards, so the sun is hitting directly on it. What else? In here, the shadow starts to get lighter. I wasn't sure why. I can only imagine that I have a wall here that is completely white. So I guess the sun was hitting in this wall and maybe coming back. And this is why this area starts to get lighter. And well, the sun was coming from here. I think that's obvious. Here we have some reflections. I guess where the sun is hitting directly on the part of the pot that we are seeing, we will see more what is visible instead of what is behind it. And the other part that I wasn't very sure about is why I have such a strong reflection here. So in here I am seeing the light coming through the pot. In here, for whatever reason, it is just reflecting a very light thing. I don't know what, maybe the floor in here, but it's kind of weird, right? Because there is not a lot of space for sunrise to hit there. But anyway, this was my first attempt at painting something translucent. I don't think it is perfect. When you see the image in real life, it doesn't look exactly like this, but I would say it is good enough, right? I think it is clear what is going on here. Now, after that, what I did is I was thinking a little bit, and I was taking a break, and I was trying to think on an easier way to create this effect, because you cannot just spend 3 hours painting every possible reflection or color every time that you paint, right? So I'm gonna show you the trick that I come up with, and well, maybe it will work for you or not, but let's see. At least it is very simple, which I really like. So this is what I did. You cannot see it very well, but I have here the shape of a pot, okay? I'm gonna remove it from here. And what I decided is that I was gonna paint 2 layers. One, I will call the spirit layer, or you know, like in Stranger Things, where you have the normal world and the upside down. So this is gonna be the spirit world upside down layer. And in here, I'm gonna be painting the things that we should not be seeing. So the things that are behind the object that we are watching, right? Like in this case, the things that we were not supposed to be seeing that are behind the pot is the dirt, the dead plant, the light that is coming through, that kind of stuff. And this layer, I'm gonna try to make it very spirit-like a lot of airbrush, beautiful colors. I could have put bubbles, anything like that, right? Just a little bit ghost-like. So basically, this is what I painted. Everything that I was not supposed to see, all the dirt, the plant. And I tried to make it like, yeah, very colorful and very airy. So this is one of the layers. And then the other layer will be the real world one, in which I'm gonna paint the pot exactly like I would paint any matte object, nothing else. And let me see. So this will be the other one. What I did here was very simple. I took an airbrush. I can show you very quickly. And I said, okay, in this side just dark, that's it. To give it a little bit of volume. In here, more dark. Then the light is hitting it. All right, so I will paint some white reflections because it is hitting it directly, right? And then I took some of the base color of this pot that is more of a dark red. It is not like this. It will be more like, maybe a red like this. And I put a little bit of this around here, right? So making the spirit world, so to say, less obvious and introducing like this second layer of reality. So that was the idea. Is it looking perfect? Let's compare it with the other. Maybe not perfect, but I think it's looking quite well. I think you can kind of see that it is translucent. And the important thing is that this one, I did it super quickly. You can just see it. One layer, it was just thrown airbrush with beautiful colors. And then I just took a big brush to give some darks and some lights. And it kind of did the trick. So I wanted to share this with you in case it will help you. And then of course you can make a lot of combinations, right? Maybe we could put the spirit world layer above. And now maybe I will put it, I don't know, in a hard light way. No, it doesn't look very good. I don't know. Hard light maybe, and then I will change the transparency. So there are a lot of different things that could be tried. But this is just a matter of playing and seeing what do you prefer to do. Now, what I would like to do now, and let's see how it goes, because I haven't tried to do this before. I want to try this trick with an arm, with basically human skin. And let's see if it looks good as well. Because as I said, I haven't tried it. So for an arm, I'm gonna make it look a little bit like this. This is gonna be my base, so then I stay within the drawing. And then the hand can be a bit like this. Not perfect, but anyway, more or less. Okay. So forget, okay, the not so good anatomy. Oops. But anyway, if we are trying to study one thing, I'm not gonna waste my time on another thing. Let's leave it like this. And let me see what I have this ugly stuff. So I'm gonna make it normal because this is the way that I painted the first time. And let's start with the colors. First of all, we are gonna imagine that the light is coming from behind, okay? Because in this case, the translucency of the skin will be more obvious. I'm gonna put some reds because we have all the vessels, the blood and so on, so I guess it will make sense. So we are gonna give it all some red. Now, we also know that on the other side of the arm, there is a lot of blue. I guess because veins are bluer than arteries, but I don't really know. So we are gonna try to put some of that blue behind. This would be more like this. I think. A little bit bluer around here and a little bit whiter around here. Anyway, this is just to try. And finally, I'm gonna make the fingers the reddest part, because when light is hitting and you know it is, I think it is because it is a thin part of the skin or something small, you can really see the reddest through. I don't really know the explanation, but anyway. So this is a little bit what I think it will look like, and then also considering that the light is coming from behind, I'm gonna give it a little bit of orangey, like sunlight, maybe around here, I don't know, just a little bit. So this will be my spirit world, okay, and now we are gonna paint the regular layer. On this one, I will try to use I'm gonna try to use something that is not very thick in paint, so it will give a space for the spirit world to be seen, right? And now I'm gonna just use regular skin colors. Like, okay, I don't know, I guess that if this person is kind of tan, this could be a good color. Maybe not, a little bit darker. So something like that. I'm gonna make it lighter towards the inside and lighter in this side, as it is usually more pale. This part is usually also pale. Here we are gonna mark a little bit the muscle. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very sure what I am doing here because I don't have any reference close to me. That's my mistake, I always forget to use reference, but anyway. Now I'm gonna take this one, but a little bit less color in it. And I'm gonna give it this usually mark that is around there. No, I'm not liking it there. Well, more or less. So this is the way that I would see it. Now let me also paint. I'm gonna reduce the color here. Now I'm gonna give it some shadow. Right. And of course the light is coming from behind, so I need to put some highlights. I wonder exactly where. So I guess one will be around here. Make it more obvious. And I'm gonna make the strongest on the other side. Again, sorry if this doesn't make sense because I don't have a reference close to me. I don't like this. Alright, something like that. Now let's see if the method works. I think I need to add more color in this layer. I didn't put enough. You know, at least let's not let the gray look like that. So this would be basically a regular arm. I have to say that it is not super beautiful, so maybe I will make a second version of it. But yeah, you can more or less see what is going on here. I should have used better colors. And now if I give it the spirit world, I cannot see it. So what I'm gonna do, I mean, it shows, but it doesn't show a lot. So let's see if I can make it show more. Let's try and highlight. And now I'm gonna try to give it a bit more of color. Something like this, for example. I'm gonna increase more the color in here, a little bit around here, and now I'm gonna paint the general light of the sun that is hitting more like in the middle, I think. And now is when we can play with this. You see, this will be the spirit world, maybe I exaggerated it too much. So in here you can play to see how much effect you can give. But anyway, I think for the moment it was a good idea. And the other thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my eraser and I'm gonna remove some of the real world layer to highlight this effect wherever I like it to be stronger, not there. Maybe in here, maybe in here. So anyway, this is a little bit the idea. I realize that it doesn't look super good, but keep in mind that it is my first attempt and I had no reference or anything, which is kind of the problem. What I think is important to remember here is that it kind of has a bit more of personality, probably, than it would have if I wasn't using the second layer. So something to keep into consideration. Hi all. So I came back a few hours later because I wasn't very convinced on the arm that I painted with you, which will be this one. And I tried a few more options, but honestly, at the end of the day, I still like most the one that I did first because it looks kind of more real. And this was just to remind you, I had one layer that was the real life one, which is normal, and the layer below, which will be the spirit world one in hard light mode. Now, for the other arm that I did that I think is interesting is, let me see if I can paint, is this one. In this one there is more contrast. I was very close to a window and I used that as a reference. So this time I painted with a reference. And the way that this is different is that I did first, let me check. I did first the real world in a normal layer. And I did it, in just two colors. I didn't lose myself on it. I focused the most on the values. And then instead of putting it below, I put the spirit world layer above it in hard light as well. For this case, I think it is working better. But for the other arms where there is not so much contrast between shadow and light, I also try to do that, putting the hard light above the normal layer. And to be honest, it is not bad, but again, I kind of like most the first example. You guys feel free to use whichever works better for you. These are probably not the best renders of skins that you will see in the internet, but what I like about this system is that it is kind of easy to remember and very easy and fast to do. So it could be a great step for you to improve and later on, move on to something that is more complex. In any case, I hope it was helpful and thanks a lot for your time. Bye bye.